It's another edition of Literary Media Live. I'm Dan Ramey, and in studio with us is the new executive director of Adena Mansion Gardens, Patrick Quackenbush. Thank you for coming in today.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
We're going to talk about Adena Mansion, what your role is, and you're still learning as
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So you're what, 7 weeks on the job?
About that, yeah, just about that. So we're heading, or almost 2 months. So yeah.
And we have some important stuff coming up. In fact, this week we want you to learn about. So sit close for that. And right now, these words from our friends at Hometown Motors Incorporated, 818 Eastern Avenue in Chillicothe.
Dixie Chopper. Speed when you need it.
Visit your local Dixie Chopper dealer today or visit dixiechopper.com.
And their spring sales event continues. Find out more when you stop in at Hometown Motors or check out hometowns-motors.com. You get that right there, our parent company. Good to have you with us. Once again, Patrick Quackenbush, you are not a stranger to this area.
Oh, absolutely
in any fashion.
not. No, yeah.
When we heard that your name was being kicked around a little bit, I wasn't aware that you're relatively, well, you're 30 years here.
Plus 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent a large chunk of my career with ODNR. And for the last 8 or so of that, I spent a lot of time traveling from park to park. I was their natural supervisor, so covered the whole area, but have resided here in southeastern Ohio for close to 30 years, yes.
Mm-hmm. So what sparked your interest in taking this position at Adena Mansion Gardens?
You know, it's really kind of funny because when this position became available and I showed it to my wife, she actually made the comment, did they just write that for you? Or yeah. So there's a couple of things. My background is in natural resources, but it also very heavily includes a lot of history because there are so many historical sites in our parks, both state parks, metro parks, national parks, et cetera, that becoming learning how to operate and work within a historical setting is second nature to what a naturalist or an interpreter would do for parks. And it just so happens that this particular time period that the Adena Mansion covers is my absolute favorite. Anywhere from French and Indian up through 1820, 1830 has always been a passion of mine. I've always loved it. So,
yeah. So this is almost like a purist for baseball. This is what you've been designed to do.
Absolutely. And that's the way I feel anyway. So yeah, I love the whole area. I'm very familiar with it. I think I surprised them a little bit on my first tour, and they went, "Wow, you really do know this." I said, "Yeah, I've been doing this a long time," and I do love that whole era. And you know, the Worthington family has fascinated me for a long time. Of course, the builders of the mansion, for those that might not know, have fascinated me for a long, long time. And their connections both with our state government and our development of our country and our federal government. So fascinating section in history.
And to think that Chief Tecumseh was there and being friends with Thomas Worthington.
Yeah. And I do love, when you read some of the notes and things, that I do like the way Eleanor put it, though, Thomas's wife, though, that she felt he was a very honorable man and very well-spoken, but he was, I like the way she put it, a little intimidating, which I'm sure he was, but they had very, very wonderful things to say about him, which is those types of things in history are fascinating because, you know, we can look at the history books and we can see the dates and the names, but to put a personality with that and to put how they really felt, that just makes all the difference in the world sometimes. So.
Yeah, I think some of that has been portrayed in like Tecumseh, outdoor drama,
Mm-hmm.
Really gives you that feeling that you're there. And I know when you manage a historic site like this one, you want to have that same mindset
Sure.
to give the visitors that same feel.
Yeah, I mean, my goal, any visitor that comes out, and we do, of course, we're open Wednesday through Sunday, so this time of the year, April through October. But when they come out, our goal is to, or my goal, and I say ours because Brittany, our interpretive supervisor, we're pretty much in tune on this, is we want them excited about history when they leave. Not just, oh, that was cool or that was neat. You know, we want them to be excited about it and just as fascinated as we are. And I think that's important when they come out, that they leave with that feeling that, wow, this was a big deal. This was important. This is really cool stuff.
Yeah. I know schools have come in on trips and everything. You've had a chance to get involved with the kids doing that. I don't recall my class ever making a trip down here, which was well before the visitor center came along. But my first time in Adena was during the state bicentennial. The visitor center had just opened, and so I was getting a taste of what it was like. and to step into the mansion and see how they lived. And when you go into where Thomas Worthington's study is, he's got the rifle there and his glasses are sitting on the desk. That adds an extra touch to it.
I would love that office today.
Yeah.
That's in there. When I take visitors, that's usually the first thing I'll say is I wish I had a study or an office like this to work in. It is fascinating, and it really brings it home. And what I find interesting, since you brought it up about his study, is every time I take a group in there, it seems like somebody picks out something different in the office or in the study that fascinates them. Maybe it's the muzzleloader, the rifle's hanging above the door. Maybe it's his survey equipment that's sitting in the corner. Right. What's this and how does this work? But when you're right there in front of it and you have somebody explaining what this is to you, and I would say hands-on, but not so much hands-on in the mansion. We prefer not that.
Sure.
but it is that hands-on experience. It's that one-on-one interactive with it that makes all the difference when you're doing it. But I do find it fascinating. It seems like every time somebody picks out something different in there that fascinates them. So.
Yeah, and the heart of every home is the kitchen. And the kitchen in the mansion looks as though it could be ready to go right now to serve a meal.
I mean, technically it is. We do not build fires in the mansion anymore for safety reasons. But there is nothing in that kitchen now that's not functional. It technically could be used to do just like they did. Now, Prince William was their cook. And he was a pretty fascinating guy. And what I always tell folks in the kitchen is that started well before dawn because they had not only their family, which Thomas, Eleanor, and they had 10 kids. Not all of them were there at the same time. They were 22 years apart. Right. But all of those children, the servants, the tenants, their children, the guests, which were frequent out there. So they would start well before dawn, and that kitchen would go into operation and go well after dark. And what I always said, reality is Prince William, the cook, was more like the conductor at the orchestra because there was so much going on at all times in that kitchen. It had to be that way. So, and I say it's the busiest room in the house, and it still is in most houses that you go into. Kitchen's the busiest room. So yeah.
I know we were going through a management transition towards the end of last year. Many things were taken off the calendar because they wanted to get people in place. So now the Ohio History Connection is overseeing everything, but you're the local site manager now. Having said all that, things are starting to take shape again. So we've already had the tours. You're prepared for that, but people can still volunteer to help out, and you've got a volunteer event coming up.
We do. On June 16th in the afternoon, we've got a special afternoon plan, both for our current volunteers that are signed up. They're going to be there working with folks that come in, but we're looking for new volunteers. We need both volunteers in the mansion to help with tours, et cetera. And this, by the way, this comes with training if you're not sure.
Sure.
Okay. And our garden volunteers. I mean, that garden is so spectacular. Of course, the gardens, as the name Mansion and Gardens implies, was designed by Thomas Jefferson's gardener. It's very, very similar to Monticello. We want to get it back to its historical roots. There's a lot that needs to be done out there. We've got a pretty big day planned. We're going to show everybody around, both the mansion and the gardens. We're going to talk to them about what a volunteer would do out there. But we're looking for new bodies. So, yeah, come out, join us. I think it's going to be a fun afternoon is what we're planning for that day. Yeah. 1 o'clock, come out and just come to the main museum, and we'll direct you where you need to go from there. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll be a lot of fun, and we're hoping to really garner some local support. We do have a lot of people that have already in the area expressed interest in coming out and volunteering, which, yay, we love that. Yeah. And there's just some sign-up procedures we go through that's not that tough. So, but we're excited, and we're hoping this will kick off a nice crew of folks out there for us.
How many volunteers do you think you need to operate? And this is probably a better question to answer next year.
Yeah, probably. But, the answer to that is honestly, it depends on how much they want to do. Yeah. If some volunteers come in, man, and we tend to get a lot of retired folks, and I say retired because I don't mean senior citizen necessarily. I mean retired, but still want to give back and still have a lot to offer and a lot to do. And they can be very, very active. And if we have quite a few folks signed up like that, 15, 20 like that, boy, that'll go a long way. If we have a lot of folks that are working for a living, et cetera, and they can only give a few hours here, a few hours there, we may need some more volunteers in that case. So. But I would love to see a core volunteer group of at least a dozen for the mansion and a dozen for the garden, something like that. but we're also doing something unique. I don't want to give away too much for that day, but we're also doing something kind of unique in the garden in that essentially you could get your own section kind of assigned to you with some guidelines on how it needs to be done, and we're hoping to really. We've already had a few groups that have expressed, we would love to do something like that. So if we have a group that comes in and wants to take over a section or whatever, we can work that out too. So we've got some different options of things that they can do if they come to volunteer.
As you mentioned, trying to keep things as close to the time period as possible. The gardens are very important in that facet. So you want to make sure that it's the type of stuff that would have been growing during the Worthington era.
Right. Yeah, we have the nice thing. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're aiming for. And we have both the original plans, which are kind of vague, not surprising probably, but what it does have it does have the original plant lists that were placed into the garden, etc. And a rough location for a lot of the things. I mean, we know the first tier of the garden was flowers and flower, and the second tier was vegetables, the third tier was orchard and grapes and things like that. So we have a rough idea from that, and then there was a gentleman by the name of Hatch that did his doctoral thesis on both Monticello and Adena, and I have that very, very thick document that he did lovely mounds of research for us to help us recreate them exactly the way they were. And that's what we're shooting for. And so the nice thing is we have guidelines, we have those documents, we have that information, so now we just need to apply it. And that's what we're after, so yeah.
Now, do you need to be hands-on on that, or will you have a horticulturist that will participate?
We're very excited about that. Within the next few weeks, we're going to be bringing on a new horticulturist, and I can't say a name yet, but we are hiring somebody specifically, and their main goal is going to be that garden. Of course, they'll probably help with some other things around the grounds as well, throughout the mansion and grounds, but their main focus and goal is going to be those gardens. I mean, let's face it, Thomas Worthington had a pair of servants that lived in the basement of the mansion, and that was their sole goal every day, was to work in the garden every day. So, yeah, there's plenty of work to be done for an individual. Let's put it that way, so yeah.
Now, your volunteer event is coming up again Saturday, June 14th?
Did I say 16th?
I think you mentioned the 16th earlier.
So sorry, it is Saturday.
So Saturday the 14th.
14th, my apologies.
That will take place. Oh, well, here is
He's
the poster right in front of
go.
us here. So, but we've got that coming up next weekend. But this weekend, you've got vintage baseball that will be taking place. And we've had the pleasure of being involved with this. I've been the team captain for the Adena Worthingtons we're starting our 11th season of baseball.
Wow.
Incredible.
That's awesome.
And we've got a sub-500 record against the Ohio Village Muffins. But we'll see if we can change that this weekend.
I'm a huge baseball fan in general, and I'm very excited about it coming out. Of course, we met in advance and talked a little bit about the playing field, which is, I just love it because everything about the vintage baseball, played by the old rules, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, played by the old rules with the older style equipment, we'll say, right? I'm not going to say old because that makes us sound old.
True. But it is an actual hard baseball that we'll be using, and there's no gloves involved, and you can catch the ball in a single bound, as they say, for an out. But as the Muffins have told us over the years, even a 10-year-old can do that. So try to be a man and catch it like a man.
And in the air.
As they say. But you're going to participate with us.
I'm all for it. I'm excited.
We've been recruiting, so he has been wrangled into this. So looking forward to it. That'll be at 2 o'clock this coming Saturday.
It'll be a lot of fun. We're very excited about it.
Yeah. So we're keeping an eye on the weather, but we're being told that come game time we shouldn't have any problems.
Nice. That would be perfect.
Yes. Yeah. Does your calendar have a lot of other things on it for the summer, or are you still working on that?
We're still working on it, but it is starting to fill up. I don't want to give away too much. We're still working on a lot of dates and things like that. But we do have a rather something pretty big plan for America 250, of course, in June. Right. This time next year. Yeah. Pretty good-sized event out there that'll be exciting. But keep your eyes open. Here in the next few weeks, you're going to see a lot more about that. So, but this year, too, I'm in talks with the Ohio Militia and the Ohio Brigade about coming out this July or August and spending a weekend with us out there, which is, if you've never experienced that kind of first-hand history, that's pretty fascinating, too. And sometimes a little intimidating because you always see the movies and the Patriot and all those types of things on TV and in the movies, but when you stand up next to a French and Indian War or Revolutionary War, War 1812 soldier who's showing you things and talking to you and showing you how their life was like, that there's nothing else quite like that. You get. I always said the only problem with television or radio or whatever is there is no such thing as smell-o-vision. Mm. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because everybody automatically assumes, well, people back then didn't bathe as often. And I'm like, well, okay, that might be true, but that's not what I mean.
That, yeah.
But it's not only seeing it and learning about it, but it's the smells, you know, the campfires, the smell of a black powder, you know, rifle. I mean, these are all different things. That outdoor cooking, which is quite different if you've never been involved with that.
It's the truest sense of everything that happened.
It's a whole sensory experience when you do it. It's literally history coming alive.
And a lot of these guys just don't show up in uniform. They know their stuff.
Oh, they do. They know their stuff very well. So, and they're kind of fun in that aspect. You know, and we were talking. I think I was telling you about it too. I've done quite a few of those types of living history, both what we refer to as history education and then what we call first person, which is where you are that person from the time period, which is a little more challenging to present it that way, but a lot of fun. And I did one as a Revolutionary War Marine in Pensacola, Florida in July, and I thought I was going to melt into a puddle in this wool and cotton duck uniform standing up. I thought, but it immediately made me think of what they went through at the time. I mean, that would have been mostly swamps and mosquito infested, and we wearing that, and I said there's nothing that quite shows you history like literally standing there in front of it and having it, you know, sharing with it. You know, that's the best way to learn it. So yeah, what they went through.
That's true hands-on.
It is. So, and not all of it's bad. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, if you've never had a good outdoor cook, then you've never experienced good food. Because when it's done over a fire and it's done properly, that is spectacular. It's delicious. So yeah,
absolutely. Well, if you want to follow along and learn more, you can go to adenamansion.com. You also have a Facebook page.
Yes. Yeah. Or howhistory.org as well. A lot of updates and especially events and things will be posted on there as well. So you can get into there and find out. There's several avenues in which you can find out information these days. So yeah.
And the coolest thing about it is, while it's history, it's kind of new because there's you've kind of scrapped things in some respects and started over from scratch, and that's given new life to this historic site.
It has, and the people that are out there now that we've brought on already are very excited. They're very excited about the site. They're very excited about the history of the site, and they're very excited about the visitors that are coming in and that we're meeting. And so far this season, since we came on and literally hit the ground running, we've been very pleasantly surprised by the amount of folks that have come out to visit with us day in and day out. But you're going to find that a very excited staff ready to greet you as you come in the door. But we're also under no delusion either. We know we've got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of, the gardens. We've got a lot of things that need to be done and caught up. Some of our trails are currently closed because we've got some tree issues we're dealing with, and we want to get those opened up again so everybody can get out, just walk the grounds and the trails and enjoy it. So we know we've got a lot to do, and we've got a lot to get ready for. We've done some great renovations inside the museum. We've done some repairs to the giant barn to get it back up to where it should be. So we've done quite a bit, even in just a short few months, but we've got a lot more to do. We know it, but we're excited about it.
Sounds great. Patrick Quackenbush, he is the new face of Adena Mansion Gardens, and we appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
We'll see you Saturday.
See you then.
Which is game day. For the Adena Worthingtons and the Ohio Village Muffins. Thanks again also to Hometown Motors Incorporated, 818 Eastern Avenue in Chillicothe, for sponsoring this portion of Litter Media Live.